Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me. In today's episode, we're continuing the coverage of the California dermatologist caught on the nanny cam poisoning her husband, according to police. In Agatha Christie's first novel, a 1920 book, The Mysterious Affair at Styles, she famously wrote, "Poison is a woman's weapon." And it definitely looks like when women choose to kill, it seems to be poison is their weapon. Now, men are more likely to commit the murder, but women are likely to use poison when they go to kill somebody. And here there have been a bunch of times throughout history where women have either poisoned their husband to death or just tried to poison them to death. For example, Daisy Delmecker, Stacy Castor. Now, Jacqueline Patrick, she tried to poison him, to kill him. She did poison him with antifreeze. Her and her daughter were trying to kill her husband to have his life insurance. When he calls emergencies to come and help him, she literally tries to finish him off while they are there. She and her daughter are taken into custody. But it's crazy how some people are willing to commit such crimes. And here we have the 53-year-old dermatologist, Yue, where police say she was trying to poison her husband. Yu of Southern California, she was arrested on August 4th after authorities executed a search warrant at her house in Irvine, California. Now, she sees her patients in a Mission Viejo office. Her husband, Jack Chen, same age, 53 years old, he reported to the police that he had been ill for approximately a month. Now, Chen, he's a radiologist, and he said in a court declaration that his wife repeatedly poisoned his beverage a minimum of 3 times in July. He said that he began to get skeptical after becoming critically unwell and decided to install a nanny cam in their kitchen. Lieutenant Bill Bingham, who, as I mentioned in the last video, he has been on the very popular show See No Evil, so he knows cameras do work. And so when Jack Chen brings in the video showing his wife poisoning him with a big red plastic bottle that they were able to identify as Liquid Drano, he said that Mr. Chen's condition became increasingly worse, and based on the husband examining his routine and looking at what could be causing it, he grew suspicious of his wife and put a hidden camera in place that captured her poisoning him. The footage that was seen on the hidden camera was shown to the court. In them, Yu is shown carrying a huge red bottle and emptying its contents into a cup. A moment later, there is footage that is captured on the hidden camera that was shown to the court, and in them, Yu is shown carrying a huge red plastic bottle and emptying its content into a cup. And this is seen multiple times. The footage that was captured on the nanny cam that you see on your screen right now, this one was on July 11th of 2022. This one here is on July 18th of 2022. And she is seen putting it in his hot lemonade on multiple occasions. And here's another one where she is putting Drano in his hot lemonade, and then he is seen drinking it. This is some crazy stuff. Like, you can't make this stuff up. This is the stuff you see in the movies. And so now, the California dermatologist, she has been arrested on suspicion of poisoning her husband and caught in the act after her husband set up this nanny cam in their kitchen of their $2.7 million home. And Mr. Chen, he shares a history of abuse by his wife of 10 years that he's now seeking a divorce from. In a statement, Chen said, "This video that you're looking at right now from July 18th shows me taking a sip of my still hot lemonade, covering my cup with saran wrap. And then Emily taking the Drano from under the sink, removing the covering to pour the Drano, and then replacing the cellophane and putting the Drano back." And Mr. Chen, he says that his mother-in-law and wife had vocally, physically, and emotionally assaulted him and his 2 children, who are 8 and 7 years old, and then an injunction prohibiting Chen from seeing his wife was approved. A 100-yard minimum distance between you and her children was also mandated by the court. And Chen added, "Emily would call me a effing a-hole and other insults. Currently, she minimizes my existence by telling the children in front of me, tell him to do something without addressing me. She would have the children tell me to do menial tasks for her. Emily's parenting, if you could call it that, revolves around yelling, insulting, verbally abusing, hitting, pushing, pulling, and being emotionally abusive." This lady has some serious problems herself if she's doing all of this stuff. And there's more to this, so I want to make sure I cover all of this. And Mr. Chen, who gave the camera footage to the law enforcement, suffered major internal injuries, but he is likely to recover. Because this is an ongoing inquiry, Bingham refused to go into any further death or disclose more information on this suspected poisoning. He said that investigators are still checking into a probable motive. He says, "We do believe this is a domestic related incident. There's nothing that we discovered that could cause concern for patients that you treated." Which would make sense why patients might be thinking, oh my gosh, is she just lost it and she's trying to hurt everyone around her? Because even the hospital that she was working at, they also had to make a statement that, hey, none of our patients have been affected by this. That is basically a domestic issue. Nothing that she brought into work with her. Now, she kind of had her practice operating out of there. And looking at her online reviews, she did not have a lot of happy clients. That hospital had a lot of happy clients, but her particular portion of it, she seemed to upset a lot of people. Not her personally, the way she was leading her staff, and a lot of complaints about the pricing, a lot of complaints in different ways where literally their Google review was like a 2.5 or 3.2 or something like that. And it wasn't very positive. Yu, whose bail was at $30,000, she was freed from jail late Friday, August 5th, 2022. And an Orange County District Attorney's Office representative stated that prosecutors were examining the accusations to decide if to file charges. According to court records, Chen claimed he had been the subject of domestic abuse when he requested an urgent restraining order in Orange County on Friday. But the trial won't go for another week or so. Chen did submit divorce papers, and he's also asking for exclusive custody of the kids. Right now, we're only hearing his side of all of this, but that looks like Liquid Drano in that footage. Now, her attorney has spoken up. Yue Yu's attorney said that his client unequivocally denies poisoning her husband and abusing him and their children. Of course he's going to say that. You never hear the defense attorneys say something against his client, but these are his words. The only response I have that is that Chen's desperately trying to get a leg up in the divorce. Consider the fact that he's filed for divorce and he wants to get any advantage he has. This is a very common scenario in my law practice of more than 33 years. And when he was asked about the filing of the restraining order, he says she doesn't plan to go anywhere near the accusing spouse right now. The Mission Heritage Group said in a statement, "The incident is a domestic matter which occurred in Irvine, and we want to reassure our community that there has been no impact on our patients. Yu is a graduate of Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis, Missouri. She attained board certification as a dermatologist in California in 2010 and certification in micrographic dermatologic surgery in 2021. She is currently recognized by the American Board of Dermatology as being in top shape. The videotape has been given to the Orange County DA's office, and according to Jack Chen's lawyer, Stephen Hittleman, who also stated that they have been working with authorities, he said he first started noticing something was wrong in March or April. And when he had further testing done, he began to have pretty significant symptoms. That's when he started to equate the chemical taste to the symptoms he was experiencing. Chen said in his statement that the suspected poisoning left him with 2 stomach ulcers, gastritis, and esophageal irritation. Chen claimed Yu and her mother, Yakin Amy Gu, would subject him and his 2 children to traumatic, emotional, and verbal abuse in his declaration. He said his wife would often deny the kids sleep, frequently make them cry, and call them foul names. He says when Emily gets frustrated and yells at the children, she'll commonly use a Chinese phrase that translates to go die. Wow, if this is true. She also says to the children, your head has a problem. Your head is sick. Go F yourself, effing idiot, stupid a-hole, and get the F out of my way. Again, this is according to Jack Chen, her husband of 10 years, who's now seeking a divorce. He says, sole legal custody will allow me to make sure that Emily and Amy stay away from the children's school so they can start to enjoy a more normal life experience. Most importantly, our children need to know that they can have a happy and healthy relationship with me without fear or retaliation from their mother or grandmother. That's according to Jack Chen. This is sad. And here's the thing. This is the stuff that makes me even a little more scared. What happens when a mom of kids wants a lot of revenge? And if you're already showing so much remorse to your children, and you're showing anger so much to your children, again, this is right now only Jack Chen's side of the story. Right now, he's got video footage to show she tried poisoning him. So that part we have as proof. But there's going to be more that comes out of this if she's charged. This could just be child endangerment. This could be stuff that doesn't quite go to the extent of spending time in prison. I don't know. Ask a lawyer. But this type of stuff scares me for the kids, because how bad would the mom hurt the kids? How bad would grandma hurt the kids? Would they hurt the kids to hurt the dad? That is what scares me as well. Right now, we're only hearing his side of the story. There's always 2 sides, and then there's the truth. But this video is damning evidence. And according to the attorney, Chen is feeling a certain bit of relaxation and his condition is gradually improving. And according to the lawyer, Chen had to leave his position as a radiologist in order to cope with stress and his well-being. And the attorney continues, he says he recites a history of traumatic abuse to him and his children from both his wife and his mother-in-law, and now he's trying to cope and make sure the 2 children will get through this. I've represented some very newsworthy cases before, and I deal with a lot of domestic violence as part of the practice. But I will tell you, this is one for the books. Yeah, this is definitely one for the books. And this is sick. It's sad. I mean, why does a person get so much anger? Maybe there's a life insurance policy. Maybe she hated him so much she wanted to kill him and just make it look like he got sick and it got worse. As I was reading this yesterday, different stories started coming back on different true crime documentaries that I have seen that literally almost verbatim sounded like this. Man starts getting sick little by little, goes to the hospital. They can't quite diagnose it. Then little by little, they do realize it's poison. And then they find out a little more on where it came from. I was watching a documentary yesterday where Cynthia Summer was convicted of poisoning her husband and was incarcerated for 2 years. This is a picture of Cynthia Summer, but she was wrongfully convicted of murdering her 23-year-old Marine husband with arsenic to cash in on his life insurance. But what they went off of was how she was living her life after the death. She was having sexual relationships with men shortly after. So they were seeing her livelihood, that the way she was dealing with her pain, and they didn't agree with it, and she was convicted. Now, doctors initially said that Sergeant Todd Summer had died of natural causes at their home at Miramar Marine Corps Air Station. Lab tests found high arsenic levels in his liver and kidney. And so when they did the lab test and they find the high arsenic levels in his liver and kidney, then they suspect foul play. And so prosecutors pursued the case against Summer. And at trial, Summer's previous lawyer had her mother testify about Summer's grieving over her husband's death. And so witnesses were given accounts of her partying, doing different things, getting breast implants after her husband's death, and they thought that was strange, and the jury convicted her. And so they judged her way of grieving is what it looks like, and not because of any physical evidence. And so her new lawyer later on asked for a retrial, and he said there was not 1 cent of evidence that she had arsenic in her house, that she had ever purchased arsenic. They made all sorts of guesses and speculations as to how she had gotten him to eat it. Before the second trial even began, her attorney found out that the lab had saved other samples from the autopsy that had not yet been tested. And so when the lab ran tests on them, they were completely clean, no arsenic. And so prosecutors dropped the charges and she was freed. And so it has happened where someone was convicted of poisoning their husband when they did not really poison their husband. But not in this case. There's video footage of her poisoning her husband. So, and thanks to this nanny cam, he's got proof that she was trying to hurt him. My friends, that continues the story of the California dermatologist caught on the nanny cam poisoning her husband. My friends, thank you for joining me, and I hope you have an amazing day. Peace.